My plan was simple. Trailer the bike from Denver to Las Vegas, then ride nearly all off-road from Vegas to San Felipe, Mexico. But, as you'll soon find out, no plan survives the desert. I got turned around, changed routes more than once, lost nearly half of my footage. Oh, and of course there was the whole violent cartel incident. My name is Andrew, and I'll be your host today. I'm a motorcycle rider, musician, and marketing consultant. I've traveled to more than 40 countries, and I've experienced many of them on two wheels. I'm also a father, a free spirit, and a filmmaker. Today I live in Denver, Colorado, where I run an adventure bike rental company. I had spent months rebuilding a BMW G650 X Challenge. Finally, it was ready, and so was I. But nature had other ideas, and other lessons. This isn't the documentary I planned to make. It's just the one the desert gave me. The broken heart of Mexico. There's an old saying that a man must carry wisdom and water through the desert. Well, I only brought one, but somewhere out there, I picked up the other. Today is already way better than yesterday. Yesterday was grueling. Yesterday was pretty brutal. Yesterday, I just didn't leave enough time to do all the miles. Well, today was a little bit rough, there's no doubt about it. I got a late start, and the trails in Mojave were slower and a little bit more difficult than I anticipated. All right. Just listen. Sand. Mojave National Preserve covers over 1.6 million acres. There's no gas stations, no lights, no services. And out on the trail, almost no signs of life at all. Just you, the bike, and whatever you brought on it. The desert is exactly what everyone says it is. Harsh. Blistering heat during the day, and cold that creeps in the moment the sun disappears. And the terrain doesn't make it any easier. The trail had turned to soft moon dust, and with a 320-pound bike loaded with gear, speed was a suggestion that the sand politely declined. So in an effort to speed things along, I went off-trail in search of firmer ground, which of course led to me losing the trail for about an hour. But of all the places to get lost, Mojave offered some views that I hadn't seen anywhere else in the world. Even though it felt like summer, the sun still went down on a winter schedule. So before I knew it, I was facing a beautiful desert sunset, with the sinking realization that soon I'd be riding in the cold and complete darkness. I still had more than 180 miles to go, dodging jackrabbits on dirt desert roads and drowsy semi-truck drivers on Interstate 40. This was not the plan. And I am beat, and I need a good night's rest tonight, or else I don't know if this trip's gonna keep going. The trick to riding in sand is simple. You want the front wheel to roll over the sand, not push through it. Force it, and the bike just starts fighting you. I think that lesson also applies to planning trips. For me, that meant taking an extra day to rest and relax, and instead of fighting it, just let it roll. I just didn't leave enough time to do all the miles I needed to do in Mojave, and I paid the price for it. But today is a new day, and it is a beautiful day. And today we're gonna enjoy a relaxing day and then stop in El Centro near the border, and then tomorrow we hit Mexico.
all about. Racks.
Please don't tell me that I can't make it. It ain't gonna do me any good. And please don't offer me your modern methods. I'm fixing to carve this out of wood. On the route through the desert, it's not uncommon to come across these tiny ghost towns like Amboy, California. Situated directly on Route 66, its last reported population was somewhere between 0 and 4. But hey, somebody pumped my gas and sold me a t-shirt, so it can't be 0. Wait, I guess it is called a ghost town for a reason. On the way to El Centro, you'll pass the Salton Sea. It was created in 1905 when, never mind, I'll just let this guy tell you. So this is the Salton Sea in California, which was created in 1905 when the Colorado River breached a drainage canal, and all this water pretty much got dumped here and created this big sea. But nothing feeds it and it doesn't drain anywhere, so it's very salty. And the only thing that comes to it is drainage water from farming, so it's just full of a bunch of pesticides and chemicals now. When I arrived in El Centro, I checked into my motel. Then, hit town to get some dinner. And in a series of events that felt like a fever dream, I found myself in a bar full of Spanish speakers, being serenaded by a couple British blokes singing a song called Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue. I think it's time to get some rest.
Violence has broken out in several cities across Mexico, hours after the army confirmed it had killed one of the country's most feared drug lords.
The reaction from his cartel has been immediate and violent. The US has warned its citizens to shelter in place as the violence unfolds.
Once the news broke, the messages started rolling in. Everyone had an opinion about heading south. But one thing I've learned, not all voices carry the same weight. As a marketing consultant, I understand how media works. Fear gets attention, attention sells ads. But the people who really understand the risk are the ones who live there. So my plan was simple: cross the border and ask them myself. Everybody wanted to know what I would do if they didn't say it was safe. I guess we'll never know. What's up, everybody? My noble steed and I have made it to Mexico, and so far no cartel encounters. After crossing the border near Mexicali, there was a sense of caution in the air. The cartel had been active on the peninsula just a day prior, setting up roadblocks and burning vehicles just an hour west of the city, as well as in Tijuana and Ensenada. But hey, according to the locals, my route was safe, so off I went southbound for San Felipe.
Hola, amigo. Hola. Me duele en todo mi cuerpo. ¿Hace calor?
Well, in case you couldn't tell, the road to San Felipe is hot. It's a long, straight, hypnotic stretch of highway. So, before I knew it, I was pulling into mi casa. After 3 days in the desert, I had finally found my oasis. So, needless to say, I was heading straight for the water. From Nogales to Magdalena, there are 60 miles of sacred road, and the promise is made to those who venture. San Felipe will lift your load.
Can't wait to get
In the land of old Sonora, a shallow river valley good. That's the good stuff.
Prodigal sons and wayward daughters, carry Mondays that
go get
they
some dinner.
might be delivered from the depths of darkness, born again by candlelight and born again by candlelight.
Well, I hate to kill the vibes, but take notice of the tan car at the stop sign. In a few seconds, he's gonna give your boy a real welcome to Mexico moment.
What's your problem? ¿Qué es tu problema, amigo? Muy costoso.
There was no damage to the bike, so I just waved him along. Still, it was a little unsettling and a shaky start for my first ride into town.
Guy just bumped me in the back.
For a second, I wondered, could this be a bad omen? But it turned out to be the opposite. That stop led me to the Rockadile Bar, a place that became my home base later in the trip, where they even let me park my bike inside and kept an eye on my gear while I explored. But for now, my two-wheeled companion was still outside, and starting to attract quite the crowd. Although the attention did make me a little nervous, it was at this moment that I noticed exactly how much police presence there was here. Not that they were any help when that old-timer was falling asleep at the wheel. But in light of recent cartel retaliations, it did give me the sense that they wanted to keep the tourist economy safe. So, while the federales made their rounds, I decided to make my rounds.
Te la rifaste. Bueno.
On my second stop of the night, I ended up at a patio bar with rally footage playing across the screens. Old clips of trucks and bikes tearing through the desert around San Felipe. The San Felipe 250 happens every spring and kicks off rally season in Baja. The locals told me that when race week comes around, the whole town changes. Packed streets, loud nights, and a party that doesn't really stop. And speaking of locals, by night one in Mexico, I was already glad I trusted what people on the ground had to say, instead of everything I heard from the headlines. If one thing did go as planned, it was San Felipe being everything I had hoped for. A small fishing town where the desert meets the Sea of Cortez, laid back, welcoming, and easy to settle into. The kind of place where people stop to talk and nobody really seems to be in much of a hurry. The town was definitely quieter while I was there. I arrived about a month before peak season and the big rally race. Oh, and there was that whole nonsense about the cartel that I'd completely forgotten about at this point.
Bienvenidos a mi casa.
And it really was starting to feel like my house. So much so that I extended my trip another 2 days. You remember the whole let it roll thing?
Oh, Colorado.
Colorado Springs. My son lives there. He's gonna get married.
And more than anything, it was the people. By the end of a few days, I'd already made friends with locals who treated me less like a tourist and more like someone just passing through their neighborhood.
I'm gonna go to that place Al where Harrison Ford got all twisted.
Oh, okay.
Well, as the story goes, after losing $85 million in a divorce, Harrison Ford came down to San Felipe to blow off some steam. He ended up at Al's backstreet cantina, likely had a few too many, and somehow landed on the cover of the National Enquirer, a photo that still hangs proudly on a giant poster inside the bar. But as I would soon learn, this wasn't just a one-time escape for Indiana Jones. Harrison actually owns property nearby, and from time to time can be spotted riding his bicycle through town.
So on the left is your father? Is he...
Luis, who runs Al's bar after his father's passing, says Harrison has always been around, almost like an uncle. A close family friend woven into the history of the place. After a few drinks at Al's, I wrapped up the night at an after party in the dunes just beyond town.
Yo me quería pasear.
As I got ready to leave town, I knew I would be back. Beautiful beaches, rich off-road history, fresh seafood, and cheap beer. What more could you ask for? San Felipe didn't try too hard to impress you. It just naturally did. It wasn't all pina coladas and micheladas out here. Plenty of things went wrong. After the night in the dunes, I'd realized I'd lost my gloves. I went back to search the area the next day, and right when I was looking, the guy I'd met the night before, Daniel, pulled up with them in the back of his truck. I ran out of gas, but I had spare fuel. I got a flat tire.
Well, that's not good.
But I had a pump and fix-a-flat. I lost the cap to my Rotopax tank and even lost the tank altogether, but I was able to track them down. At one point, my phone flew out of my pocket while riding. Somehow, I found that too. Everything had a way of working out, until it didn't. I spent so much time worrying about what might happen in Mexico. But in reality, the worst break of the trip happened right when I crossed the border.
Gracias.
She told me don't worry about it.
Well, as it turns out, I should have been worried about it. Take a look at that camera bag I'm holding. Inside were extra batteries, SD cards, but most importantly, 256 gigabytes of trip footage. And somewhere between the border and Coachella, it flew off my bike into the night, never to be recovered. Just like that, a chunk of my trip was gone. I had chances to back everything up. Good Wi-Fi, plenty of time. I just didn't do it. But that's the type of mistake you only make once.
Tell them that I made the journey. Tell them that my heart is true. I'd like his blessing of forgiveness before the angels send it through.
Make no mistake about it. When you set off for a motorcycle adventure, that is exactly what you'll find. Things won't go according to plan. And usually, that leads to the most exciting parts of the trip. If I had listened to the headlines, I never would have experienced the hospitality and incredible beauty of San Felipe. Even though the memory card is gone, the memories themselves will last a lifetime. And the wisdom and resilience the desert taught me will stay with me for the adventures to come. It's an uphill climb, but the views at the top are worth it.
The broken heart of Mexico.